Welcome back everybody to Outdoor Power Tech. We got a Briggs engine here off of a DR chipper that a guy brought in. And it was having major kickback whenever we would pull on it. The guy was chipping stuff and said he cut the unit off, went in to get something to eat, come back out, got gas, put gas in it, and went to crank it, and it wouldn't crank. He said it had a hard start. After a couple pulls, it was having a hard start, and it was jerking the cord out of his hand. So I go to his house to pick it up, pull the spark plug out. There's no gas in the cylinder. So my next thoughts, which normally is the flywheel key sheared and the timing's off. Well, bring it back here to the shop, pull the flywheel, I pull the blower housing off right here, and I check the flywheel key, and it's right. It's perfect. Timing was right. Everything was good. Check spark, have a hot spark. Went through the carburetor, make sure there wasn't no issues there, which wouldn't cause a kickback like that per se, because it was jerking it out of my hand. Everything checked out there. I checked the valve lash. The valve lash was perfect. The exhaust on this system is supposed to be between 9 to 11 thousandths, and the intake is supposed to be between 4 to 5 thousandths. So, worked on it for about 4 hours last night, doing all that I just told you, just trying to figure out what's going on. The compression is around 60 PSI, which these engines will run at that. But the thing is, when I would take the load off this engine, it would crank and run perfect. As soon as I put a load, of course it's belt driven, you can't control how tight the belt is, and you don't engage it. When you crank the engine, the chipper's already chipping. So when I would put the belt back on and try to crank it, it would pop and kick back. So my thoughts on it is, with the low compression, that it's causing a blow-by and a kickback on it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to pull everything off of here. We're going to pull the valve cover off. We're going to pull the sump cover off, and we're going to pull the piston out and look at the rings, and I'm going to order new rings and put new rings in there. So I went ahead and took off a few things on here. Your shroud right here. It tells you how to turn your gas off, and you stop and go. So I do have the gas off, and this is a 250cc Briggs engine, and there's the cover for that. And if you want to know, let's see here, what is the numbers on here? It is 15T202. So let's go ahead and pull this gas tank off. It's 10 millimeter. We'll go ahead and get those off. I'm hoping that I can just buy the rings. Briggs here lately has gotten where you have to buy the piston and the rings together. I'm hoping that ain't the case for this unit. When we put this unit back together, I'll go through each bolt one by one as I'm installing it and show you the bolt, so you'll know what bolt it is, what size, and where it goes. But right now we're just going to get everything off and put into my magnetic tray. I'm also going to look and see if the cam gear has jumped a tooth. Being as this is a wood chipper, he had a company bring out wood chips, and they were too big, and he was just dumping them in here and letting the chipper chip it in the smaller stuff. So he could have put a bunch of wood chips in there and cause it to go under a big enough load that the cam gear skipped a tooth or broke off. But if that would have happened, then the flywheel key would have sheared. But I've seen stranger things. Let's see here, got those 4 out. This just slides up like this. Be gentle with it. We'll unhook this from here. A little gas will come out, whatever was left in the line. I'll get me a rag and put right here. And I'll get my needle nose pliers. I'll get behind this right here. Be gentle because this nipple in this gas tank is plastic. You don't want to break that because you'll be having to buy a gas tank too. All right, we'll set this. I'm gonna set this up like this with the nipple facing up somewhere so the gas doesn't pour out. Okay. Y'all see everything okay? Now we're gonna take the carburetor off. And it is a 10 millimeter also. Just break it loose like this. Because this bolt over here, the angle that this has to go is an odd angle right there. So you don't want to screw out too far because this will start getting jammed up between here. So just take that out. And then I do believe it's a T25. Let's see here. T27. Let's see here. T27. A T27 will work. One for T30 will fit better. Let me check that for y'all, just so y'all will know. See, that's a T25. T40. Yes, a T30 is an exact fit for it. I was using that T27 for something else earlier. All right, we'll get this one off. Y'all can see. Let's get this turned this way. Pull this off. All right. We'll just pivot this around to where we can pull this linkage off. I'm pretty sure if y'all watching this video, y'all know a good bit about this, but I'll show you this. This comes up like this, and then you just pivot it like that, and it comes out like that. And then get your spring unhooked. All right, and we'll set that to the side. All right, so here, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the spark plug out of here. Set this in the tray right there. All right, and then our valve cover. Your wire on this engine, depending on what you have it hooked up to, will be coming out the other side. All right, your valve cover is going to be 10 millimeter bolts. And we'll get those out. But like I said, I did a valve job on it. They turned out good, looked good. It wasn't in that bad shape anyway, but I could turn the valves with my fingers. Put everything back together. Still was getting the kickback. And trust me, I looked at that flywheel over and over and over again, thinking maybe I just didn't see the key sheared off. After, working on something else for an hour and it's still kicking back, my mind was like, well, is that key sheared off and I just don't see it? And I'd go back and look, and nope. Never had an engine come in here with an issue like this. with this many problems. Now, when I picked it up, it's kicking back really hard. Like, when I pull on the pull cord, it was pulling the whole unit up, and this is a big wood chipper. And me adjusting the valves fixed that. And so now, whenever I pull on it, it'll pop and go pop, pop, and blow out the carburetor, and won't run under load. So, okay, we got that off. Just so y'all can see, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this cover off also, just so y'all can see. We got a good look on this. We got 10 millimeter here, 10 millimeter here, and 10 millimeter here. Let me get my small impact. I don't know why that's on there so tight. My battery must be going dead, my impact. That's what's going on. Let's see how many bars I've got. 1 bar. Alright, take this off. Alright, we'll set this to the side. Okay, I'm gonna pull this off. Let's see here. Slide it off like that. Tuck that to the side. And put this over here. Okay. Let me get the impact because y'all gonna want to see. And this is a 15/16. Pull that off. Set that right there. And as you can see, the flywheel key is in the groove here. It hadn't skipped around to another side. So the flywheel is in timing still. We know that. So that's good. All right. Let's get all this stuff set to the side. Let's get this head off. These are 10 millimeters also. And I'm going to use my bigger wrench, my bigger ratchet for 10 mil. See if I got 10 mil. Yeah. All right. Everybody can see that good? And you got 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I'm gonna reuse this head gasket because it is good. When I redid the valves, the head gasket was perfect. I will here in a minute, when I show you the head gasket, throw up a part number for that head gasket if you can still get the head gasket by itself. Briggs is requiring you to buy the whole gasket kit now for these newer engines that's coming out, just to get the head gasket. So hopefully that ain't an issue on this one. Just like with the rings on the newer engines, if you go look, the rings are showing on the breakdown, but it's with the piston. You have to buy the piston and the rings together. All right, we'll get these 4 bolts put in our tray over here and pull this off gently. Catch your push rods. There's our push rods, and here's the head. All right, I'll set this right here to the side. Yeah, also be careful because your caps, your valves have caps on the ends like this. Go ahead and pull those off and set them in your tray too, so you don't lose those. And we have to put those back on when we put this back together. All right, let's set this over here. Okay, here's your head gasket. And that's not a bad spot right there. That's dirt. See, this head gasket's still in great shape. No burnout spots on it or anything. So I'm gonna set that over here. Okay. The cylinder to wall doesn't look bad to me. It has a few grooves in it. Let me get my flashlight real quick. There is some light scoring. Yeah, there's some light scoring in there. It's nothing that my fingernail will catch at all. Nowhere even near that. Let's see if the piston has any play in it. A little bit, not much. Okay. This stuff's set to the side so we don't lose it. Next, we're gonna pull the sump off, but first I have to pull this pulley off. Hopefully it's not a butt to get off. Might have to use the impact. Hopefully this pulley will pull right off once we get this off. And I do believe it is. Yeah, it is. And when we put it back on, make sure this goes on just like that. Spacer. And what looks to be 2 washers they have welded together. Okay, like that. Put that right there. Get this pulled off. Don't lose your key right here. I'm gonna put that in my tray just in case. Just in case my kids come in here and accidentally touch it, which they won't. Pull that off. Okay. Now, let's get us a piece of wood so I can bring this back like this for y'all so y'all can see what's going on here. Y'all see that? Everything good? All right, and those are all 10 millimeters also. Let's see here. Maybe my impact will have just enough juice to get these off. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, she's dying. I'm gonna set these in my valve cover just so I know those go in the sump pan right here. Okay, we got a 5/16 or 8mm right here that's holding on your oil fill tube or dipstick tube, whatever you want to call it, doesn't matter. I'm going to, I'm gonna pull that out just so if I drop anything, it don't break this off of it. Get that cleaned up. Now I'm gonna set this to the side also. Okay, now with a rubber mallet, we're gonna tap on this. Don't tap on these ears right here. Tap on the metal behind it. And here, that popped right off. All right, now I'm gonna probably keep on doing that. I'm gonna put a little pressure on this side with this finger, pushing towards y'all, towards the camera, pushing up, and then I'm gonna tap this up, like so. Now, be gentle with it, cause you might can save your gasket. I got a spot here that's hanging up. I'm gonna get my razor blade right here and just free that. I'm gonna have to buy a new one cause it tore at the bottom. Yeah, it tore at the bottom. Yeah. If we're gonna do it, might as well do it right, right? All right, let's pull this off. All right, that looks good. Where's it broke at? Oh, right there. I might can get away with some gasket maker right there, but I'm not. I'm gonna replace that whole thing. And here lies one of the problems I have with Briggs now. You see their cam plastic. All right, let's see. We don't have no broken teeth. Let's pull this thrust washer out. Got that to the side, and we'll put that to the side. We do not want to forget that. All right. There's the spot on her. I want to get this lined up. And it is lined up. I'm gonna wipe this off. And zoom y'all in. Okay. You see this dot that is stamped into your cam gear right here? Well, this is the cam gear. There is a notch right here in the plastic cam gear right here. As you can see, it's a little square. It's usually a little circle, but I'm guessing they had to make that a square cause, as you can see, there's a bunch of little circle indentions in here from them making this plastic gear. So that's probably why they went with a square. So that's lined up. Perfect, so we know that's okay. All right, let's pull this off. Set that to the side. That key's okay. I'm not gonna pull that out. I wanna check my lobes on my cam. I'm gonna pull that out. And my lobes are fine. I might see how much this cam gear is, just in case. They look pretty good to me though. Yeah, they look good. They look real good to me. Now we're gonna pull the piston out. And that's probably an 8mm or 5/16. So let me get that and see. I'm going to spin this around to a spot where I can get the wrench in here. Yeah, it's gonna be an 8mm. When we put these back on, I'll give you the torque specs on it. All right, I'll be back in a minute. I got a customer here. He's the one that called me and he's here to pick up his mower. Okay. Back now. Let's turn this to where I can get to the other one. Might can fit that. And you might have to move this around until you can get your socket on it. Let's see here. And go gentle with it. You don't want to snap loose real fast and pinch your fingers with your ratchet. All right, there's our second one. All right, make a mental note to this dipper right here. Okay, you see how it's on the bottom here? If this was flipped around the other way, it'd be sticking up right here and wouldn't dip. So this goes on the bottom right here. Let's pull this cap off. I'm going to inspect this cap while I have it out. Cap looks good to me. No excessive wearing or browning or darkening of it. So no hasn't been ran low on oil. All right, set that to the side. And then what I normally do is get the crank around. And then with a screwdriver, with this end of the screwdriver, I'll put in here and pry the piston out. Spin this around a little more. Use a littler screwdriver, or if you have a plastic crowbar or something, you can put in there, or a wood dowel. A wood dowel will work. All right. Pull these out. Okay, yes. We do have scoring on the piston right here. So I can probably buff that out. It's not nothing that my fingers can catch on. I know that looks worse than it is, but it's not anything that can't be buffed out. And then we'll rehone I believe this is aluminum block, but we'll rehone it, just get some of those little scratches out of there. But yeah, my finger don't catch on none of those. So we'll get new rings for it, unless we have to buy the whole kit, the whole piston rings. If we do, I'll just do that. But nothing's broke on it. He must have gotten some grit in there past his air filter at some time. Let's see how wore down these rings are. Let's pull this top ring off. Let me suck this oil out of here real quick. I'm still zoomed in. Awkward, aren't you? All right, I'll get that cleaned out. And of course, before I put new rings and everything in here, we will clean the inside of this out really good so there's no debris. All right. Let's turn this way. See if you can see down in there. All right, I'm gonna put this ring in here. Let's see what our end gap is. It's not too bad. Put our piston down here to push it down there and flush. Let me go ahead and pull these other rings out. Wipe this off. Okay. That's not too bad. Let me get my feeler gauge and see what we got. Go with 6 thousandths first. So we're right at 6 thousandths, which that's good. It's actually really good. Okay, let me try the other ring. All right. Go 6 thousandths again on this one. 6 thousandths will go through it. Let's jump to a 9. A 9 thousandths goes through it completely. Let's jump to 11. 11 goes through it completely. Jump to a 13. 13 goes through it completely. 14. 14 goes through it. Okay, let's jump up a little further. Let's jump to a 16. 16 thousandths. 16 is snug. So 16 thousandths. So that one does need to be replaced. So we will get new rings for this. All right, guys, I'll be back with you when I get this stuff ordered, and we'll get everything marked up to get putting back together. So I'll be back with you once everything's in. All right, guys, my rings came in. I went ahead and got the whole block cleaned up. I ordered me a new cam. This back lobe, it is pronounced as the front lobe right here. It's a little more rounder, so I went ahead and ordered a new cam just in case that was the issue. But I want to go over a few things with you on this. This unit you can still get rings for separate from the piston, and you can either get standard or 20 thousandths over. So I'm going, let me take this glove off. Okay, now we're gonna put our rings on. I ordered a brand new set when they came in. And let's do our oil rings first. All right, you want to put this ring on first. So this one you can just This one you can just go ahead and put on like that right there. Then your small, you have two little tiny small chrome rings. See how thin those are? Let me zoom this out just a little bit. We're gonna put those on, and one will go on top of the oil ring and one will go on the bottom of the oil ring. You see how I'm putting that on there like that? See? So we have chrome ring, your oil ring, and then you're gonna put another chrome ring on. And it will go into this groove right here. All right, you see this end gap right here? We have an end gap on this. We want this to be completely on the other side of that end gap so they don't overlap. All right, these rings go on pretty easy. So see, we got those on like that. End gap right there, and then end gap on that side. Right there. Okay. Now, these new rings, the middle ring will have 2 paint marks on it. Let's see here, which one? So it's gonna be this one. See the 2 paint marks on there? It says to put these on. The center ring has 2 paint stripes and must be installed with the stripes to the right of the end gap. So this is the end gap and this is to the right. So it wouldn't be like this because that'd be left of the end gap. So we'll go ahead and put these on. Put this one on. And this one I'll put in the first one like this. It's hard to do this and look at the camera too. Work it on that way. Don't try to stretch it from the top all the way down to here because the ring will snap. Then you'll have to order and wait on everything to come back in again. All right, we got that installed. Okay, and it's the same thing on the top one, except this one has 1 paint stripe and they want it up to the right also. So let's see here. Yep. The top ring has 1 stripe and must be installed with the stripe to the right of the end gap. All right, so let's get that like that. There's our paint mark. Let's put this in here, and then we'll walk it on like that. All right. Now, your end gap on here, compared to your Oiler ring end gap, I don't think that's too big of a deal. But see, we have this gap right here is the bottom of the chrome ring, and this is the top gap of the chrome ring. So this middle one, we'll put our finger here to know where that one's at, the Oiler ring. So right here, we want this middle ring to be completely across from it like that. Okay, and then our top ring, we're gonna want it to be completely across like that. Okay, those are ready to install. Now I have a ring compressor to put these on. I'm gonna put it on without a ring compressor just for people that don't have a ring compressor, so they can know that they can do it that way. You really need a ring compressor though, but I actually have 2. Let me show you. There's my ring compressor. Okay, but I'm gonna show you how to do this without doing that, and hopefully you'll be able to see what I'm doing. This is just, I'm trying to teach somebody that does it at home and doesn't have all the tools. So, okay, since we got all those rings lined up right, okay, you see this arrow on here? It needs to be facing down to your valve where your push rods come through. All right, now I'm going to get some oil. This whole unit's been cleaned. It's been cleaned in my washer and dried and everything, so there's no trash in here, nothing. I'm just using regular 10W30 oil. We're going to do this, wipe this around in here just to give us a little bit of lubrication. All right. Okay, so what you want to do is this arrow has to be facing towards the flywheel on this model. I had to really look that up. Another engine that I was working on, a Briggs engine that I was working on this week, they had the arrow facing towards where your push rods come through. I don't know why Briggs has to change stuff up like that all the time. It's like they're trying to make our life harder, us mechanics and dealers for them, and it's just ridiculous because it's always been facing the flywheel. Okay, all right, so let's get this. Make sure your rings, the gaps are opposite of each other all the way around. And then we're going to stick this in here like so. Make sure it's well oiled. Okay, like that. All right. And now, with a little bit of pressure, I'm going to push down like this, and just that very first chrome ring, because you have two chrome rings sandwiching your oiler ring. So the first chrome ring, I'm going to start doing, see it just popped in just like that, so easy. All right, we're going to put a little more pressure on it, and we're going to start working on that top ring. And there we go, it's in now. Okay, now with a small rubber hammer, and it is really small, I'm going to tap this down like this till you hear that? There's just a little pressure on that middle ring. All right, now pushing down with my hand right here, I'm gonna start working on that middle ring. And be very careful not to scratch up this machine area right here. You got it real nice and clean and ready to install your piston and rings. And you don't want to scratch that up, because then after you have this in, you're going to have to be trying to get the scratches out if they're bad enough, because you want this to be a nice clean surface for your head gasket. So let's walk this around like so. Let's keep walking it around and pushing down. And you'll see once it starts to try sliding down in there. Okay, it slid down in there. Now we tap, see, and now that's in. Now we're going to do the same thing on this side. See how it just popped in just like that? Walk it around this way. All right. There we go, see? All right, now let's just tap it in. And there we go. That feels good. That's a real good fit. All right, now I'll put that up. The rubber hammer, we won't need that no more. And I'll hold this stuff up just one last time. Your stuff will come with the rings though. But this is what the front page of that looks like. You can pause that and read any of that. And then this is the back page. And all of them are not going to be this way. This is just on this series of engine. All right. I won't need that no more. I'll hold this page up one last time so y'all can see the specs and everything on it. Okay. All right, now we'll put that up. I'll put the filler gauge over here to the side. I won't need it until we do the valves. These rings were still in spec. So I'm gonna put these in my box and I'm gonna mark these as used, old, and put still in spec. So if I get an engine in here that somebody's not wanting to put too much money in, I can put these in. They're still good. I can put these in a fully new engine rebuild, but I will mark these. But if they would have been out of spec, just throw them away. Okay. All right. Give me 1 minute. All right, let's get our crankshaft. And it's going to go in like this. This is your PTO side that comes out the back side, and this is the side that goes into your flywheel. Okay. We're going to do this right here. Get it set like that. I'm gonna put a little bit of oil on the journal right here. And then we're gonna want to slide it in to where it don't hit that. You probably would want to have this in first. Okay, that's in. Yeah, you probably would want to have this put in before you push this all the way in. Okay. Zoom in here. All right. What we're going to want to do is your connecting rod, we're going to want to meet it up with this journal right here on this crank. And I'm going to put a little bit of lubrication on here just so it's not a dry fit. And then just with an end of a wooden hammer, whatever the wooden part, just tap your piston down until it fits into that journal like that. All right, so we in there. We're good to go. All right, now let's get our connecting cap. All right, let's get our connecting cap. Let me zoom this out. And it's going to go like this. Not like this, but like this, okay? Make sure there's no dirt or anything on here. You should have it clean already. We'll put a little bit of oil on here, and then we're going to snap this into place right here, like that, okay? Hold it with your finger, and then we're going to get our 2 bolts that holds it on. If you want to clean these real good with some type of cleaner, brake cleaner, whatever, and put some blue Loctite on there, you can. You don't have to. They don't do it in the factory. I won't give you the torque specs. So we're gonna get those screwed in. Screw all these in by hand. You don't want to try to ratchet this on real quick and get it cross-threaded, because you're messing with some expensive parts here. You cross-thread this connecting rod, you're going to be buying a new connecting rod. That's going to be more money. So just get them screwed in as far as you can. If it gets slippery, wipe it off with a towel. Okay, we got it far enough screwed in. We're going to, let's see here, 5/16 should be it. 5/16 or 8 millimeter. Now I'm not tightening these down, I'm just getting these just snug. That's all I'm doing. Not even tight. All right, now let me get the other one. You might do better with a shallower socket. Let me get me an 8mm. Okay. All right, got those snug. Okay. Let me get a screwdriver. Okay, so our connecting rod is 100 inch-pounds. 100 inch-pounds. So we're gonna get our torque wrench and I'm gonna set it to 100 inch-pounds. Okay, get that tightened up. Get this on here. There we go. All right. I like to do that and then let it sit for just a minute or so, just in case that aluminum, you know, it gives a little bit, because it's aluminum that we're screwing into. That end cap's aluminum and the connecting rod is aluminum. So we'll just give it a few minutes just to sit for a second and then we'll recheck it. Get all this cleaned up. I know we're gonna be filling this with oil in a minute, but I wanna make sure there's no trash in here. I gotta wait on that cam to come in anyways. The guy's had this unit for a while. He bought it in 2018 and used it all the time. So even though those ring end gaps were coming up in spec, I want to go ahead, since we had it open, and go ahead and hone that out, because it did have some scratches on it. And then put those new rings in. He said for me to go ahead and do that anyways. So, all right. Let's recheck this again. All right. All right, that's good. And it's always a good practice when you're done using your wrench, unscrew that and back this off all the way to where it takes that the tension off, and then put it back in your box. Okay, all right. When the cam comes in, I'll be back with you, and we'll get that installed and start buttoning this thing up. But everything's starting to look good. It's a really good, clean unit right now. So I'm well pleased with it so far. All right, guys, I'll be back with y'all later. All right, guys, camshaft came in a little after lunch, and I got right here, OEM part, and I'm wanting to measure the lobes on this, because remember we was having a kickback even with the valve lash set. All right, here's our new one. There's our compression release. Make sure all that's good. All right, I'm gonna measure this with make sure I got this right. All right, this is the new one. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I count it wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so that's 1.120. So we'll just forget about the, let's see here. Let me make sure I got zeroed out. Yeah, I do. Okay. So right on the 25 mark, looks like. Oh, right there we go, 20. Okay. So we're looking at 1.120. So 1.120 thousandths is what it's supposed to be, right around there. Okay, and that's on both lobes. Let's grab ours that was in the other engine. This one's measuring about the same. Let's go to this back one that I told you looked a little off. And watch this. .110. So it's a good almost 10 thousandths off. So that's probably where we was getting our kickback from, I'm hoping. So we know it's a bad lobe. Either way, it needs to be replaced. So let's go ahead and get that installed. Let's get both of our lifters. Clean them up real good. Can y'all see this all right? I'm putting both of my lifters in right here. If I can see it. See right there, that lifter right here that I just put in. All right, let's put in the next one. Let's get our cam gear. Line it, put it on the, you have to put it on your crank with this dot up, facing the sump pump. Or what is don't have pump in, that's your sump cover, facing this way towards you. Okay, line your keyway slot up with the keyway that's on the shaft, slide that on. All right, let's do away with this. We don't want to accidentally put that back. All right, let's get a new one. Everything looks good on it. We want to line that hole up on your gear, cam gear, with this square mark right here. It's usually a circle, but I think because, like I said before, all these circles on here from them casting this, that they made it a square. So we're gonna turn this over. All right. My wife called and stopped the recording. All right. Let's get us a little bit of oil. Squirting here. Let's get these lined up just right. turn this. And we're lined up. You see? Right there. We lined up. Okay. All right, now we're gonna want to put our thrust washer on. That's what I call them. But this makes sure that there's enough space between this and your cover that you put on, so that the cover, so your gear is not grinding on the cover. It just gives you that space. Okay, we got us a new gasket, and I'll put these part numbers up on the screen, of course. So let's go ahead and put this booger on. All right, like, is this the wrong one? It's not the wrong one. All right, there we go. All right, let's get our sump cover. I'm gonna take the old gasket off. It should just peel right off. Or throw this in the garbage can. All right, we got that cleaned up really good. It'll be nice once it's all put back together. All right, I'm just gonna put a little bit of oil on here, just for this oil seal. Just slide this on. Don't see that. And we'll just, you might have to turn your crank back and forth until it pops on all the way. There we go. Don't force it, because you got them plastic gears in there. All right, let's get our sump bolts. And let's see here. Let's see what the torque is on this for y'all, so y'all can. £100 inch. All right, and here's the bolts that you're gonna be using. There's a little bit longer. The only other longer screws that you have this size, as far as size wise, are these four right here that hold the head on. There's 4 of these that hold the head on. Then the next ones lower than that are these right here. Okay, and you'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'll have 6 of these. So let's get these started. And these are 10 millimeter. And there probably is a torque. There's probably a pattern that you're supposed to do. I'm not looking that up. Being that this engine has a horizontal shaft coming out, what I like to do, because they 99% of the time leak from the bottom because your oil's sitting down here. What I like to do, well, that ain't worked. That's a ½ inch. What I like to do is do these first 2 down here. Normally we'll do a cross pattern, but I want to get these 2 bottom ones first. Just say, like, if I start here and went around this way, you wouldn't want it to start buckling up on here in the bottom. So let's do that. Oh, come here, 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 here. All right, let's get our torque wrench. That's probably got it pretty close with that small impact. Okay, we've got 100 inch-pounds. Yeah. right, yeah, that's good. Let's put that up. Okay, now let's get this cylinder head put on. All right, put this right here like this. Let's get our head gasket. Now I redid these valves on here because I initially thought that was the issue. So we're just gonna put our valve cover on there like so. And then slide her on like this. There's 2 pins right here that slide into these 2 pinholes. Okay, let's get these bolts. I shouldn't have ran that sump pan or crankcase pan, whatever you want to call it. Everybody calls it different things. I shouldn't have ran those in all the way with that impact, but that big of a bolt, it wasn't gonna hurt nothing. So let's get these ran in, at least snug or down close enough. All right. Now, our cylinder has 220 inch-pounds. Will this one go up to 220? No, this one does only 200. Let me get my bigger one. All right, got that at 200. Let's get our 10 millimeter for this one. There's our 10. All right. Everybody still see? Okay. Start right here. I'm just getting these tightened up to the point where I can start really torquing them here in a minute. All right, start torquing this one. This always scares me. There we go. It scares me because I had a torque wrench one time hang up, and I don't know how it did it, but it hung up and it wasn't breaking at the poundage I had it set at, and I twisted the threads off on a block. Of course, that was a long time ago. I don't make that mistake anymore. But sometimes it's hard to tell. Sometimes when I'm doing it and I'm like, this should be breaking already, and I start getting scared that my torque has broken like the one did in the past, and I'll bring it down to a low number and see if it will click, just cause I get paranoid about it now. But anyways. All right. Okay. Okay. Got those. I'll come back here in a minute and go back over them again. In the meantime, we can put this flywheel on. Look at that nice clean engine. I love this part of doing rebuilds, when you got a nice clean engine sitting in front of you. All right. Get our flywheel, got it cleaned up nice and neat. And we'll line this key up with the keyway slot on your shaft here, on your all right. Now let's get the fan. All right, let's put our, you got 2 pins right here, and you have, it's bezeled out really deep on this side. Now it's bezeled just a little on this side, but this deep side right here is gonna go right here where your magnet's at. I'll do like that right there, it'll snap in. You can put it on the other way, but as you see, it won't, the 2 pins in the back are lining up and going to hold, but it's not going down all the way. So we'll show you, see like that. I'll do this, and we'll do this. Screw it down all the way by hand. And I'm using my air compressor impact, but I have it set to like a 60 PSI. Okay. Now, let's get our coil and put on. Let's see if I set mine at 9 thousandths, between 9 and 12. That's what I set mine at. Let's get our 2 bolts for that. All right. Move that out of the way. And that's a 5, no, it's not a 5/16. I don't know why it's not a quarter or 5/16. Neither one of them will fit. 5/16 is too big, and a quarter is too small. 6 millimeters too small. 6.5 is too big. The only thing that fits it is a 9/32. And that's weird because Briggs uses this on their push mowers, their plastic carburetors. They use 2 5/16 to hold it into a metal housing, and then they use 2 9/32 in the same breather assembly to hold the plastic on. They just do it to make things hard for us. All right, let's slide our filler gauge in here. You can use a business, just a regular business card. All right, I'm gonna roll this around to where the magnet is and try to get the magnet where it's touching. Okay, if you can see the magnet, it's right here and here. You see I have like 1/8 of an inch of the magnet touching on both sides of this coil. What it does is allow for me to have a good spacing for it to be even on both sides. If you go past this magnet right here, like that magnet's halfway in the middle like that, you risk of that being pushed in further, if that makes sense. This armature arm right here could be pushed in further because of that right there. Okay. So let me reposition this again. Make sure that my filler gauge is perfectly lined up. Okay, like that. Both of those. Okay. And you do not want to crank down on this. I'm sure it has a torque reference here. 30 inch-pounds. I've never used a torque wrench on here before. I just use common sense. But if y'all want me to use a torque wrench, I will just for y'all. Let's see here. Does it go down to 30? Okay. This is odd doing this little tiny screw with this. That's it right there. I wonder how tight that feels compared to how I normally do it. Oh, yeah, it's not as tight. Okay, let's get this out. All right. Now, put that back here. And I'm gonna go back and recheck my head bolts. Yep, good. That's good. That's good. That's good. And if you want to get real technical on it, after you run the engine and let it get real good and hot, you can let it cool back down. And after it's cooled completely down, recheck them again. All right, now, let's get the push rods put in. I know it's taking some time, guys, but I'd rather do it right. And I'm showing y'all. All right. Okay. Our intake can be between 4 and 6, and exhaust between 9 and 11. So I'm going to do 4 and 9. So we'll do the intake first, which is this one. Let's get these cleaned up. Make sure you get them down in the holes right way. I won't be able to show y'all this. You just use a flashlight and shine it so you can see. There we go. You'll see it'll look like a little tiny bubble that's popped in half that it sits in. Okay, let's put our intake rocker arm on here. We'll put that down just a little bit. Just get it just a little snug because we don't know where it's at, where the crank's at right now. We'll do the same thing with the exhaust. Get it same way. Okay. Now a lot of people will say you gotta put it at top dead center, but you don't. Turn this, turn your crank until, okay, you see your intake going down. Let's do the exhaust first. Okay, so now we can do the exhaust. I forgot to put some on here. Let's back these off. Let's don't forget our end caps. Let's get these back down. All right, we'll do the, and make sure that wasn't the compression release pushing down. Now it's compression release, intake down. Okay, exhaust. And we're gonna do 9 thousandths on here. And I'm using, what size is this? What size is this? 4 millimeter Allen wrench and a 5/8 wrench. Okay, 9 thousandths. Okay. All right, what I'm gonna do, I'll just slide this in here like here and turn this down until we get snug. And I'll show you something else you're gonna want to check before you might want to check before you do this that I'm doing right now. Still got good drag. Let's test again. Oh yeah, okay. Yep, still got real good drag. Okay. You have rocker arm bolts that these nuts thread onto. You might want to check. I just do a visual scan because I do this all the time. But you might want to check. You see it right there? Where I'm pointing at right here? You want to make sure these are screwed all the way down. Okay, they back out sometimes and I'll throw everything off. And if you're paranoid about it, you can take these off, clean them real good, put a little bit of blue Loctite on the thread that's down in here and thread this back in, get snug, and you'll be good to go. Okay. Let's get this turned over. So we'll be at 6 thousandths on this one. And I always go with the bottom number because I go with it a little looser, which will put it pretty much in the middle number. But if you put it at the middle number or the third number, what 6, 7? If you go to 8 thousandths, is that what it was? No, 4 to 6 thousandths. What do I got this on right now? 6. We're gonna do 4. All right. I know we don't exhaust valve. What I do is exhaust on. I'm losing my mind, guys. Yeah, that's 9. So this is intake 4 to 6. Okay, 4. Okay, so what I was saying was, if you do the first number and just do it a little loose, it gives you a little more to work with. If you start with the higher number, let's say 6, and you get it where you think that is right, you could be over a little bit and that valve will not be opening up as soon as it's supposed to. So I'd rather start on the lower number and just get a little snug, so I know that it is at least in that range. And this is how you want it. You don't want to get it. See how that's tight now? And how can I explain to how much force I'm using? Let's say you're putting a Q-tip in your ear, and you just know it'll be the same speed and the same gentleness as putting a Q-tip in your ear. Slow and steady, and just tighten down this until there's just a little drag. And then you got it. If you happen to push or pull harder than you would with a Q-tip in your ear, then it's too far. Okay, that's good. All right, we got that on. Valve cover time. Let's get this cleaned up. It's pretty clean. The gasket's still good. These gaskets normally not bad when they come in. Okay, 1, 2. All right, we got 4 of these 10 millimeters. See how long they are. And you can label this stuff if you want to as you take it off. When I first started doing this, when I was doing this as a hobby, 15 and 20 years ago, when I take stuff off, I'd put it in a Ziploc bag and label it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. All right, get these snug. I'm just gonna do it with this ratchet. Don't go completely tight yet until you get all of them down. All right, it's getting close. Okay, now let's go ahead and put the blower housing on. Get it cleaned up real good. All right, slide this on. It's pretty self-explanatory. I think I got we got this we got to put on first. Hopefully I can still put it back on. Go ahead and plug this into the back of the coil while I'm right here. Okay. Yeah, I can still put it back on. And this is, don't stick, buddy. This is gonna be just a little 5/16 that holds this on right here. Pretty positive this is the one. Maybe it's not. We got two of those. Let's see, maybe it's this little one right here. Maybe it's this little silver one right here. Let me see. Is that, yeah, that's a stupid 9/30 seconds. I bet you that's it. Well, of course it is. Let's put 9/30 seconds out of in the middle of nowhere, so you have to break out a different wrench or wrap it. Okay. Now, when this goes on, this is going to slide in there over that like that. See how that snaps in there? Okay. Tilt this back. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. And these are just 9 or 10 millimeter. Millimeter. Don't get it completely snug yet because you want to get all these lined up right. And just 3. I don't know why I said that. I don't know why I said it was 4. Most of them 4. If it seems like I'm getting a little confused on just odding in little tiny stuff, I rebuilt another Briggs engine smaller than this today also. So, got a lot going on in my shop right now. A lot of stuff. Okay. I don't know why I'm cleaning this up. It's on a wood chipper. Guys, it's gonna be dirty as soon as he cranks it up. Okay. Now, let's get our carburetor. Our gasket's still on there. And I got to get the gasket for this. All right, let's get this right here. And these are going to be the 2 bolts that hold your carburetor on. They're 10 millimeter. And then I have a little bit of a lip right here, where it's a little thicker than this. Okay. Put our gasket on this side of the manifold. Let's get these 2 things. Put these right here. All right. let's go ahead and hook up our linkage right here. Get our linkage spring installed. These things are aggravating sometimes. Okay, make sure you hook that up though, because if you don't, if you know what haunting is, or surging, better word for y'all probably understand, when your engine's going whoa, 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 because it's hunting for gas. If you take this spring off of here, it can give you a phantom symptom, meaning that it's simulating that it's hunting for gas, but it's not. It's just, if you have enough play in this, it will do that. You go snug. Okay. Let's get our gas tank on. Now remember, we had gas in it, so hook our gas line back up to it. All right, got that on. All right, let's get the dipstick. We'll install that. Let's see here. Get this pushed down in there. That right there. All right, is this gonna be the 5/16 one? We will find out here shortly. We got two. I got that. Okay. Let's see here. Let's turn this around this way. We'll put this on. Make sure your gas is turned to down. So this will fit on her like that. We got these two here in the front. Let's try. These are 5/16, I know. All right. And we'll turn it this way. This is where the other 5/16 went. All right, guys, we're done, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and put the air box back on here, spark plug, muffler. That's self-explanatory. If you took it off, that's pretty much the easiest things to put on. And then I'll be back with you for the first crank up, and we'll see what happens. All right, we'll be back in shortly. All right, guys, we're gonna crank this up. Gas is on. Let's see here, take it off. We'll start up halfway. Choke.